Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's been quite a while, but tonight I can say it's Friday night. You know what that means. Well, it doesn't actually mean what it normally does because Nostalgia's now changed. It's now on a different night. But, David here on the show likes to call me Mr. Friday Night, and I put my hands up. I have been slacking quite a bit. So don't worry, I'm now back though on a Friday night because, it's time for that Friday feeling. Where tonight we'll be talking about, so we've got a game at the weekend. We're playing Kilmarnock in the League Cup. So, tonight is a big look ahead to that. And then a little bit of Celtic news that sneaks in there. I'd imagine there'll be some transfer chat as well because, let's be honest, it's everywhere right now. We cannot escape it. As you can see, tonight I'm joined by a stellar team around me. So, from Mr. Friday Night to Mr. Sunday Morning. Hello, David Logue. How are you doing, mate?
What an exciting nickname that is, Mr.
Sunday Morning.
Sunday morning, with Davy Logue.
Indeed.
I'm good, mate. Thanks for having me. It's your turn to host, and I am in the old guest chair today, so buzzing.
Oh, glad to see you on, mate. Welcome aboard. And what would a Friday night be without myself and my spirit animal here, Liam Greenlaw, the punk duck warlord, the wise man of the bus, Canada's favourite Tim. This is our bread and butter, Liam. This is what we do a Friday night, mate. We're back together on a Friday night. How are you feeling, mate?
Feeling good. It's a Friday feeling. It's my end of my week. I'm ready to go. I'm always excited about a big game coming up in the weekends. It's like, that's what I'm thinking. Like, what day are we playing this week? What morning do I have to get up? So
it's stupid o'clock, but no, dedicated to the cause, mate, as always. And below me here, you can see one of the most opinionated men on the bus, shall we say. He's always very much to the point, doesn't mince his words. Young Connor Carr, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good, mate. Nice to see you all again. Nice to be back on with David, Liam, and of course the Oracle, Mr. Phil McGinley.
Oh, thank you very much.
Kane got his goal there, Phil. That's it. That we were discussing off air. When's Kane going to get his goal for Bayern? We've just done it.
2-0 to Bayern.
One of my mates had a line on that tonight, so he just cashed in big time
They're on my coupon as well, so.
But before we go any further, folks, of course, I'll remind everybody to do all that good stuff. Help out Algorithm CSC by, of course, hitting that like button. Obviously, it helps the traction of the bus, gets us seen in more people's recommended videos on YouTube. Of course, if you're brand new to the bus and only just stumbled across this humble little channel, then by all means, you can join us even longer by hitting the subscribe button. Over 4,070 people have done so far, so why not join them? Get on board and hit that bell notification to be reminded when we go live, and you will find out very quickly that we go live a lot. Of course, you can get involved in the comment section tonight, and of course, leaving comments below the video helps massively. And if you want to share it on any social media platform, whatever your poison is, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever they do, whatever the kids are into nowadays, and by all means, please do so. And of course, we're a sponsor up there in the corner, whatever side it's at. Piesports.com, head over there, use the code BUZZ1888 and get yourself 12.5% off your tasty treat order. With all that said and done, let's get into the show, guys. So on the running order tonight, I'm mostly going to be talking about the game coming up at the weekend. So it's very much a League Cup centric show. We'll be talking about obviously the game in terms of the starting lineups. We won't be going through our full starting lineups and predictions and stuff like that. We're not going to do that, but we're going to home in on a few positions that, maybe a few curveballs in there, because this is the type of tournament, that we do see some of the fringe players maybe get a run out. Will there be any surprises from Brendan? We'll be looking at the League Cup in general in terms of the stature of it. What does it mean to fans? What does it mean to the club, to players, and so on? And of course, what would a Friday night show on the bus be, especially with myself and Liam on here, if there wasn't a wee bit of time travelling? So yes, there'll be a wee mini bit of nostalgia, and I'll be asking the boys to tell me some of their standout memories and moments from the Scottish League Cup over the years, good or bad, whatever. It's all welcome on here. So yeah, let's get into it, guys. So yeah, Sunday we will be down at the old plastic pitch in Ayrshire, playing Kilmarnock, a team that we beat last season en route to winning the League Cup. Obviously, we're defending one of our 3 trophies from last season. Yes, we'll be Derek McInnes will be out for revenge. He's been talking as well and talking about that penalty incident that they never got and so on. That's still good to see that still lives rent free in his head. But anyway, that's another story. But in terms of for the start of life, I think we've all came to this consensus that Home and Yang will probably get a start, given what they've produced so far. they should get their first starts at the weekend, especially with unfortunately some of the injuries that are creeping into the team. So they should get in there. But yeah, in terms of positions though, the League Cup is often one, or just domestic cups in general, where one position in particular that usually gets rotated is goalkeeper. And again, general consensus across the Celtic fandom and on this channel in particular about goalkeepers and so on. Now, my feeling is obviously Joe Hart should start. I think he will. I would, however, be concerned if Scott Bain got the nod or Siegrist. I think Siegrist race is run. I think he's not getting a game there. I think it's pretty much he's on the way out. Obviously, Scott Bain signed that crazy 3-year deal at the tail end of last season, which got many people a wee bit concerned. I am worried that if Scott Bain was somehow to get the nod, David, on Sunday, that might be an indication that we won't be in for another goalkeeper because, as I say, general consensus is we can all see that we kind of need to sort the goalkeeper position out because after Joe Hart, what's behind him is definitely not good enough, even if it is just the League Cup. It's like, no, we want to be, the best option possible to win the game. And my worry would be that if he was to get the nod, it might be an indication that are we looking for a new goalkeeper? So what's your feelings on that one? Do you think it will be Joe, or do you think he might surprise us with that one?
First of all, I think if we were to see Bain in goal, I don't think it would spell the end for us looking for another goalkeeper. What I would say is, if we are looking for a goalkeeper and we do sign a goalkeeper, I think it spells the end for Joe Hart, not Scott Bain, not Siegrist. Well, Siegrist, we can forget Siegrist, he's gone. Yeah. I think, he's pretty much a write-off. Because I don't see Joe Hart wanting to be number 2. I think the sacrifice that he's made to come and obviously play up here, being away from family. I don't know if he lives up here or not, but whether he does or doesn't, it's obviously a lot more difficult for him, probably family-wise, than it would be if he was playing still at Burnley or Tottenham. I think he doesn't want to put that amount of sacrifice into his personal life to be a number 2 up in Scotland. So I think if we are looking for another goalkeeper, it's Joe Hart that leaves. I don't think Bain will be in goals yet, though. I think he'll keep playing his strongest hand until we find somebody better, somebody to either push Joe Hart properly or to completely replace Joe Hart, which is obviously what I think prefer. I don't know if Brendan will be wanting to risk, because Kilmarnock will be a tricky game. Let's not make any mistake here. We've seen what they managed to do against them the first day of the season. That pitch, that will be they're a very well organised, very tricky opponent.
Yeah,
I think you'll want to just make sure that let's just keep the momentum going. Let's play my strongest hand that I can do. So I know I'm not sure Bain will start personally. I don't think so.
No, that's fair. Say I would be thinking it's got to be Joe Hart at this point. But I would have been worried if I saw, one of the second string keepers getting the nod, because at the end of the day, we definitely need to be looking at the goalkeeper. And Liam, as David says, come on, look, it can be a tricky game because amazingly, in Brendan Rodgers' first stint, it's a place that he actually lost twice, albeit it was Steve Clarke's Kilmarnock who were a bit better than this one. Derek McInnes tends to not get his tactics right whenever he plays us. For whatever reason, he's very standoffish. But obviously, we've seen in the last couple of domestic games that we've played this season against Ross County and Aberdeen, teams seem to be a bit more open against us and kind of having a go. But do you feel that they'll have the tools to do the damage if they do come out against us, or is it one of these things where they'll run themselves into the ground and we'll just pick them off eventually? Because Brendan's game game seems to be, we'll just hold on to the ball and let you chase it. I know Ange's one was more, we'll get in their face, we'll be really aggressive here, we'll be on the front foot, high press against them. But with Brendan's one, it's more like, no, we'll get the ball, we'll retain it, we'll tire you out. Because I felt that happened last week against Aberdeen. For all the hustle and bustle in the first half where they pinned us in a wee bit, I think in the second half, Aberdeen, they ran out of steam pretty much. And Yeah, you any concerns about any of that tomorrow? Do you think the plastic pitch, the dreaded plastic pitch, might play any sort of part, or should we be okay?
I think a couple of things. So first, I think it gives us an option to, as you said before, if we're going to beat them with pace, this is a chance for Brendan to give McKinnon a master class. You know, he can't have many pals in football. You know, McKinnon, he's a miserable. You have moaning penalties a year ago and all that. And anyway, so I think this is a chance for Brendan just to remind everybody who's back. Barry Robinson's nice, you know, no bother. You know, he seems like a respectful guy. Can't remember who it is we played first, manager Malky. You know,
Big Malky, yeah.
This is a chance for Brendan to sort of like establish himself as back, and I think he'll do it, as you said, through fluid football. I think what idea is to drive them into the ground, because who knows what can happen with the park, and then also as well like refereeing as well too. This is a club team that like to get the boot in, you know, and see what happens as well as if we're going to get our players protected as well, because that might stop our running. The other thing I'd like to see is a wee bear that's been in hibernation that I think's ready to start tomorrow. Wee bear.
Calling a Celtic player a wee bear. Now, hold on a second. Hold on.
He's going to put my Greg Taylor insane, irrational. I don't know go from it anyway. So I think we'll see that tomorrow, and I hope it is. I hope we come running at them, give them no respect, just go at them. We've got much better players in there. None of the shit that anybody's creeping up or everybody's, you know, there's a party or something. We're still well ahead. Tomorrow's just a great way to rub it in, no matter who we play. But I hope we go and we just drive them hard, then make loads of subs.
Oh yeah, hopefully the game's won pretty comfortably. Because the last time we were doing Commander, can albeit yes, it was last season and it was under a different manager. I think we blew them away in the first half. We got like 4-0 up by half time, and then the second half we kind of slowed down a wee bit. And I think they got one back in the game, but I'm pretty sure we blew them away pretty comfortably. So I'd like to hope for the same, because yeah, it's also a cup game. You know, these can be a bit anything can happen. Sadly, one mistake and it could be all over. But hopefully we're not talking about that. Now, of course, another position corner that we'll need to look at is central defence. Now, with the game coming up, I generally thought it would be in a cup game, and what's happened in the last 24 hours and some of the comments Brendan's made, I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if Stephen Welsh started. But then, obviously, today, he's went and signed a new deal. It's been announced he signed a new deal. And then, as Brendan said it in the press conference, he got a knock in training. And that is some bloody knock he must have got, because his foot is in basically a big boot and he's walking around in crutches. So Stephen Welsh ain't playing. But, of course, that opens the door for, as Les Watts here says, Narotsky and Lagerbielke to start in central defence. I would have been shocked if Lagerbielke didn't get a nod, because he did say in his interview the other day, you know, the standard 5 questions with Celtic TV, as we always get, you know, that he's been playing right up until just the other night, competitive football. So he's ready and raring to go. But yeah, it looks like he is. There's going to be no choice in the matter now, because Carter Vickers sadly has got a wee knock there corner, and also say Welsh has got a very big knock, it seems. So yeah, it looks like we are going to see that centre back partnership, and I'm excited about it, mate. Are you?
I'm a lot more excited than I would be if I seen fucking Yuki Kobayashi in that fucking starting lineup. Jesus Christ, mate. I mean, I've not got any hair left to fall out, but I think my beard would probably just start falling in the ground if I seen that in the starting lineup. But no, I think that's definitely what will happen. There's not a chance in hell that he's not going to start Lagerbielke and Navrosky, because he's match fit. And he looks like he looks a good player. I know he lost his last game. That doesn't mean anything. But, you know, he looks very raring to go. And from what I've seen, he looks like a very, very tidy player, good defensively. And he's good at this new method that we seem to be doing and playing some long balls. And I think that is a tactic that we may start to incorporate more into our play. And, you know, you're seeing these runs that Kyogo makes and stuff like that, and nobody's picking them up. I think one of the only times I've ever seen a player pick up is actually Anthony Ralston at the end of Angie's first season. He played that lovely ball over the top, and Kyogo just went in the end of it and scored. It was, you know, it was just, it flowed like water. It was absolutely incredible play, and I would like to see that more often. And if this boy Lagerbielke, if that's what he is, you know, all about, that's what I've seen for the video clips, and that's how he's passing accuracy in that, and he's isn't the best, and that's why, because he does try these ambitious long balls over the top. So I'm really excited to see that. I'm excited to see what he's all about. The thing is, I won't actually get to see the game. I'll actually be working, so I know I'm going to be catching up on the catch up when I get home, and I'll be keeping an eye on the score whilst I'm working. But I really hope that he does start, and obviously Navrocki, I don't think we'll get into worry about. He looks very, very solid. He's impressed me so far with what he's contributed in a Celtic shirt in that defence. He looks very, very comfortable. He looks like he's played here for a while. So I don't. In terms of the two central defenders, I don't think we've got much to worry about. I think they'll be fine.
I think as well, when you pick it up there on the point about the long balls, I think when it comes to this ground in particular, sometimes you've got to go a bit ugly and just because obviously the ball travelling along the plastic pitch surface, it can cause a few problems essentially. So sometimes you've got to have that in your game and just lump it forward. Because again, Brendan's first tenure at Celtic, don't think he won at Livingston. Say he had a bit of a so-so record at Kilmarnock. We lost a couple there. I think Hamilton Accies, though. I think we went down there and beat them pretty easily, but it's Hamilton Accies. But yeah, it's that whole plastic pitch thing. It seems to be a sticking point for Celtic over the years. But in recent times, especially under Ange, with the plastic pitch at Kilmarnock, we seem to cruise okay. So I'd imagine we'll just pick up with that one. And if we do have to go long, you're right. Some of the clips I've seen, Lagerbielke seems to be able to hit them long. But David, one guy that I'm excited to see after his showing last week, and interesting social media post, shall we say, with his captions that he put out there. Thiago home, Odin Thiago home. But yeah, hopefully he can put another player on his backside like he did last week. Maybe he needs to tone it down with the captions, as I say, on the old social media. But I genuinely think we've unearthed a real talent here. May only be 2 games in. Maybe I'm being a bit hysterical, being a bit over the top. But just sometimes you get a feeling with a player. You don't need XG and all these stats and spreadsheets to tell you. You just watch a player and you go, no, he's a good fit. But yeah, I mean, most people in the chat talking about, they expect to see him and Yang start. But yeah, with Hatate obviously now injured, and David Turnbull not quite showing up last week against Aberdeen, then yeah, maybe this is a chance for home to start on Sunday and give us a good showing, a good 70 minutes at least, I reckon. Maybe the full 90 minutes, who knows? But it'd be good to see him start, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, I'm really excited to see if he gets a start. I think I would agree that it's most likely he will start, especially with the Hatate injury. He's much more. He's got that kind of raw look about him, but he's a wee bit more mature. You get more of a Hatate than you do Turnbull with Odin. I would say more excitement on the ball, a bit more forward thinking, a bit more. You'll drive the ball forward, make those passes that you'd maybe see Hatate kind of make. So I think he would be a good replacement to bring in with him being injured. Like I said, he looks a lot more matured on the ball than his age suggests. His Instagram account would suggest otherwise. On other maybe off the pitch, but he's a young lad that had a decent game, and obviously he knew the crowd obviously were liking what they saw, and he shoot his shot on Instagram, and he quickly was told to put it back in his holster for a little while. Because we're not about that here. Do your talking on the pitch, which he can do, and just leave the Instagram lyrics to somebody else, for other people. Yeah. But no. Don't get me wrong, like it's great that he's got that kind of brassness and confidence. We like that about Giakoumakis, but Giakoumakis was doing it a bit more on the pitch before he started kind of getting that kind of cocky attitude over him. But we like a bit of showmanship, but let's keep it on the pitch. But yeah, he's going to be some player, I think, as well. I think there's a reason. Like I know it's like he's in the top 100. Young players in world football or whatever, and there's a lot of players on that list, and some maybe just get put there for whatever sake, for whatever reason. But I mean, you can see why he's on that. He was kind of on that list at a young age. Like he looks very good, very exciting. I think he gets the fans off their seats, and I think I think we'll see a lot more of him through the season than maybe we first thought.
Aye, it looks like it. As I've said a few times now, just when it comes to like transfer fees and whatnot, I don't think we should read too much into it. And you never heard of the player. There's lots of players you could point to over the years that we'd never heard of when we signed them for a similar fee that turned out all right. And yes, I do take on board that, there's been, for every Virgil van Dijk, there's maybe a Dirk Berichter. So I do get that, there is an inherent risk with everybody. But I say just from early on, you've just got a feeling that Home looks like he's likely to make a good impact this season. Because obviously, Liam, once Hatate is up and running, and we did hear as well, there's some talk of a.
Fuck off, mate.
Well,
I did say that. I didn't know what a pleb, man. There's 100, believe it or not.
Oh, really? Oh,
dearie me, right. Cheers to that. You're absolutely wrecked with there. Fair play.
Yeah,
fair play.
Got you, mate. Came flying in like a wrecking ball and he got you, mate. But yeah, Liam, obviously with Hatate being injured, we hope that's not too long. And we have heard obviously some encouraging chat that there seems to be contract talks happening with Hatate, or at least the club are going to. Whether he accepts it and signs the deal, we don't know yet. But there seems to be the noise is that they are going to be speaking to him about that, because quite a few players have obviously renewed their contract recently, and yeah, it'd be vital to get whatever was going on in the first two games with Hatate, whatever it was for why he wasn't playing, the ideal to get him to start, because he is so crucial going forward. But see, with Home starting tomorrow, this could be his chance, or not tomorrow, Sunday. If Home gets to start, then hopefully he makes a good impact, because I've got high hopes for the lads. But Liam, up front is an interesting one, because again, with all being out injured, and again, with being a League Cup game and so on, and I say it's one of these trophies, one of these tournaments where the manager will experiment a wee bit. I would say it's still got to be Kyogo regardless. Just go with your strongest option there, because it's either him or it's going to be Maeda through the middle, because Maeda seems to be the only other viable option right now as a striker. And that's the jury's still out on that one. Even though I have on the bus, yes, I have actually backed Maeda to be that guy at the end of the season. We're all going, oh man, what a season he had. I'll still stick to that for the time being, but it's got to be Kyogo getting the nod on Sunday. You would imagine. I don't see much, no reason really to change it, because he's in for him at the moment. He is the main man, so we need to. You make sure that we put a marker down here and get through that next round. So you've got to expect that, don't you, Liam?
I mean, I would still wait, get the job done, and then take him off, wrap him in cotton wool, for the other games coming up. I think it'd be nice to maybe see Haksabanovic get a start. He's one of the players I thought would really kick on under Rodgers. I'm surprised at that one. I thought he had odd balls, and it seems to be like a wee bit. I don't know if it's Rodgers' style or Rodgers, or he's even pissed him off at that, or he's, if he's in contention for a place. But he's a surprising one, because I thought Hack's sort of style would suit us. And I think he's another one of the players as well that we bought that could also play striker as well. Like, anytime I've seen him when he's more inside, he's better inside the penalty box than he is running outside it. I think once he gets in there, his feet are really good, he's fast, he can dribble, he can unleash a quick shot, through players and all that. And I think that's what we might need against Kilmarnock tomorrow, is someone like that as well. And so if that's the case, it's Kyogo all day long, because he can do that. And if it's no Kyogo, maybe Haxa, or maybe moving Obada back in as well too.
Aye, we've definitely got winger options, to put it lightly. Brendan once upon a time did say, don't know why we're signing another winger. We've got a million wingers. We now seem to be back in a position where we've got a million wingers, so he's definitely got options there for out wide. No doubt about it. There's
an opportunity for them to overlap and change.
Yeah,
and I would absolutely destroy a team like Kilmarnock, where they're a bit chasing shadows at that point, and they already have enough. Like, Kyogo gives them absolute fits, just because they're all big and immobile, and he's always turning and moving. So I think the more we've got men up there pressing like that and playing that same sort of style, the better we'll be, as long as our big guys can come up and support them in the air when we have corners, and that guys like Matt O'Reilly.
Aye, O'Reilly's been playing fantastic so far, so hopefully that continues. But Connor, you're going to like that I'm coming to you with this one, because obviously we do need to consider that we're going to Kilmarnock and their start to the season. They have had a rather big win over a certain team that I know that you just love to talk about. Should we be worried about that in any way, or is that just a case of they're just not as good as the hype train is saying? Because indeed we're a treble winning team. The most that's still intact, and we've got a manager that, surprise has won 2 trebles already as Celtic manager previously. So they just obviously caught them out in the fact that they just threw a team together that day. But ultimately, I think Brendan will show Kilmarnock respect. He won't go down there with a cavalier attitude that just blow them away. You'll take into consideration their results. I believe so far, obviously, they beat Rangers on the first day and then drew their second game. So they're on 4 points just now in the league. But he shouldn't go down there and field like some reserve 11. He'll definitely show them respect and take it into consideration that no, we've got a job to do here. We shouldn't be too worried in that sense, should we, Connor?
No, I think it was as much a shock as to anybody what happened on the first day of the season. I mean, we all loved it, obviously, but Kilmarnock taking a scalp like that on the first day of the season is just bizarre, as it is, hilarious. It's unexpected, but I think we need to treat them with a bit of respect. I know it's only Kilmarnock and it's only Derek McInnes. However, I think even though it is a League Cup, you need to put in the best 11 possible, because as we've seen in cup ties, anything can happen. Do you know what I mean? It's not like this is a league game at the fucking arse end of the season. We've already won everything. This is, you're still playing for something. There's something still on the line. We're defending one of our trophies. So I think going ahead with the best 11 possible, maybe giving a couple of boys like Yang and Home a start is a good shout. If it was, a League One or a Championship opposition, I'd say there's more of a shout to give a bit more experimentation. I would be playing, your starting 11 or as close to your starting 11 as what you can get. Your injuries will the injury list will permit you. I'm sorry, Liam. I know you've got it in for Taylor. I've got it in for Haxa. He's fucking pish. I don't think he's been great in pre-season. He's offered absolutely nothing. I think he's more focused on trying to be a Montenegrin SoundCloud rapper by getting his hair dyed and getting a fucking grill put in. So it's no for me. He's no showed anything. I thought when he first came in he looked decent, but so far he's flattered to deceive me. So no for me. I'd be playing Abada, Maeda and Yang well ahead of him, mate. I'm sorry, it's no for me. But if he plays on Sunday and he does all right, scores a goal, gets an assist, maybe you're right. But then again, I'll just say, it's just come on. It's just Derek McInnes.
He only does that off the bench anyway, Connors. We found it last season. Everything Hacks about it starts, he seems to be invisible.
He's an impact sub. He's no...
You bring him off the bench, he does all right.
When we were like 2-0, 3-0 up, it's no when we're desperately waiting for a goal. The only game I actually did, I know this is a caveat and often a side tangent, but the only game I did see him, impact a game decently was the game against Ross County, where he got that goal. I think it was a really tight game. I think it was
one with the Matt Riley handball. They got a penalty, didn't they? One of the ones.
Now, which one, mate? Which handball? The teams get against us last season and gave them a penalty. But I think in terms of Sunday, mate, strongest 11 possible and go for it, because as we've seen, Kilmarnock beat Rangers. They're very so obviously the quality of the players is nothing compared to what we have. They're very defensively sound. They're very comfortable in their roles, in their position, and what they're set up to do. They're set up to clearly frustrate teams, and as we've seen, that can actually work on us. So I just think just go with your best start 11 possible and don't let them breathe. I think with Kyogo, I think you do have to start him because we do have a lack of striker options. But like Liam's saying, I think if he scores a goal or 2-0, 3-0 up at half time, I would take him off, because as the injury list keeps growing, all it's going to take is one bad challenge on Kyogo and a pass to the pitch to see him out for a fucking another 2 months. Kyogo to me is like there's this phrase that's used in video games. He's called this is what I think when it's I think Kyogo, he's called a glass cannon. He's very much designed to do a lot of damage but not take a lot of punishment back in return. So if Carter Vickers is a tank, he'll be very much a glass cannon. So that I think if he has a good first half, we're comfortable and clear, get him off Ratman and Cotton Will, because the injury list keeps growing and it's concerning me big time.
Oh, without a doubt. I say that's one we definitely don't want to lose. And we've seen it before. Not that I've got much sympathy for like Rangers players, but I know like Jamie Murphy had a brutal injury on that plastic pitch. So you can see it happen where anything can happen on those pitches. So we need to be wary of that. Now, obviously, moving on to sort of next topic regarding League Cup, I've got a bit of an interesting one here in the comments, the duality of man. Because obviously I've got Monty's coming up here saying, Phil, we can't make too many changes, because obviously there are fans out there like, no, we want to go and win every game. But then I've got this comment here from Just Celtic, says, genuinely couldn't give a fuck about the League Cup. We need to hope our players don't get injured on this surface, 3 in a row and proper run in Europe. And that is the thing about the League Cup. It's always been that trophy from a fan point of view, where it comes to the treble. Now, the trebles have become the norm for Celtic in the last few years, since Brendan Rodgers' first tenure, because trebles were few and far between to win at Celtic. But obviously, if you're going to win the domestic treble, you need to pick up the League Cup along the way. But it's one of these weird trophies where if we win it, it's great. It's a good day at Hampden for the fans that get to go. It's a bit of silverware getting lifted, and I say it can contribute towards the treble. But it's one of these ones as well where it's like, well, if we get beat, a lot of fans will just kind of go, it's only the League Cup. I'm not bothered about it anyway. There are some fans who say that they'll still be disappointed, but ultimately in the bigger picture, if it means that we have a good run in Europe and we win the league, they'll sacrifice things like the League Cup. So it's a bit of a conflicting one to this trophy. But I say for me personally, it's weird because I know that I say this, I've got a sort of similar view, but I will sacrifice it if it means the bigger picture for the season is we win the big prize that matters, the league, and if we do have a good run in Europe, it's League Cup. I'm not too bored. But at the same time, though, I still know that there'll be a wee bit of me like, oh man, we've got to missing out on a day at Hampden or something like that. It's one of these. It's really polarising a trophy at times, but I understand the comment there. I get it. Where it's just one of these weird things. But nowadays, I say, David, trebles are the norm. It seems to be that that's what we get judged on nowadays. Trebles getting won. We can't do it without the League Cup. So where do you stand in terms of, like, from a fan point of view, with yourself going into games like this, where it's like, if we win, great. If we don't, whatever, we move on to the next.
It's one of those things. It's like you fancy that bird and she turns you down and you go, didn't want her anyway. Didn't like her anyway.
Yes.
Probably a lesbian. That one. You make every excuse under the sun why it didn't work out. And but I think deep down you did still want it. I mean, when it's up for grabs, you want it. Yeah, I think. We're that conditioned to winning. We want to win. It's programmed in us to win everything in sight. So I think we still go into that mindset. But we have a decent enough squad there. I think this is the point of what I think. Even what Ange started, and you can debate whether he made the right signings to do this or not. But to build a squad that we can compete in all trophies and go for all trophies, but have a strong enough squad in depth that we can mix it up.
Aye.
And I think that's what we need to be doing as a club. You're not telling me that Man City were not going to be bothered about picking up the FA Cup or whatever, their treble.
Yeah.
They built a squad that they can still compete in every competition. It's probably still blow every competition that they come across with even their second string side. Now, obviously, we can't. I always use Man City as an equivalent because they're the best team in their league. But we at Celtic should be able to build a squad with our resources that can blow away other teams using our second string team. We could be with the likes of Yang and Odin that we've just talked about, how we think they look like ballers and they do look like good additions. With the likes of bringing in Turnbull, he can score 2 goals on his first day of the season, blah, 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 blah. Bring these guys in and not be concerned that we're going to miss out on winning the League Cup. I still want to win that League Cup.
Yeah.
However, if we go out, it's not the end of the world, but I think just because of the high standards that we've set for ourselves now, it's just you still have to go with your eyes on the prize, and if we slip up, then we can say we never wanted it anyway. Mickey Mouse.
Aye, of course. I would
You know,
didn't fancy you anyway.
It's just a double-edged sword, isn't it, Phil? It's just like I said, while you're in the competition, you want to win it.
Yeah,
but it's not gonna derail our season if we don't. It's a good marker to set to win a nice early trophy, but it doesn't sit out the rest of the season if we don't win it. It's not a case of, well, that's our season fucked then.
Yeah,
you know.
The thing is,
but
like,
we should prioritize trying to use our second string team to try and win that competition. I think that's what a real strong club does.
I think that my attitude towards the League Cup as well, and I saw somebody say this in the comments earlier on about it's the first cup, it's a marker. I think down in England, there's always been a stigma towards their League Cup as well. It's seen as the sort of third run trophy, whatever. But when Jose Mourinho took over at Chelsea, he changed a lot of big teams' approach towards that trophy because it falls at a good time in the season, and it's a good momentum carrier because it was their finals always in springtime. Now ours seems to jump around from springtime to winter time, and as we know, in the dead of winter this year, the finals at the start of December or late November, it's back to there again. And we're also going into that Christmas period, Liam, and to pick up the League Cup at that point in time, especially with a Rangers game, which will be lurking on the horizon. And let's, be honest, there's a good chance that if we're in the final, we could be playing them. So it's like, we could play them along the way in the semi-final or whatever. So again, if we're meeting them along the way, it's a good, obviously, momentum builder if we can get a result against them. And or if we don't play them along the way, they happen to get knocked out by somebody else, and we've got them coming in the league at the end of December. Again, it's another good bit of momentum and stuff like that. It's the first trophy is put down a marker, so it does give you that wee boost. What about yourself then, Liam? So how do you feel about the League Cup? Are you in that sort of vein, or similar to David, where it's like I didn't fancy you anyway if we get knocked out?
It's a bit of the two. Sorry, I agree with David. It's an excellent opportunity. Lead in younger players or players that aren't getting the game. Also a good way to adjust your tactics to a certain pitch and all that. It's a good chance. That's what I said earlier. Good chance for Brendan to just, dominate him. Dominate him. I like the cup. As far as like the Rangers angle go to it, it's the first chance that we get to be in a stadium with them where it can be 50-50 in the season. So I think that takes on a different perspective where you want to get them in the cup because then we get them at Hampden again and we get as them and it's the big crowds again and that's always good for Scottish football. So, I loved the show last night when David, you and Mark were talking about the crowds and that, being on this side, the Atlantic, it's great to hear that first-hand stuff as well, but also the reasons why. And so I think, that's why the League Cup's important. Anytime there's a chance to play them and play them at Hampden or play them in a 50-50 stadium, I'm all for that.
Yeah, for it will be, and so we beat them obviously last season, the old 50-50 allocation in the League Cup final. But there's an interesting thought, by the way. If we get through and they get through, and let's say they happen to draw each other in the quarterfinals at either Celtic Park or Ibrox, I think the rules are when it comes to ticket allocations for the away teams in a cup competition, it's like mandatory, and it's usually bigger than a league allocation that they get. So that would be another whole can of worms getting opened if that happened. But something tells me when the draw gets done, they'll somehow avoid each other again. They'll save it for Hampden because we don't seem to play them in the earlier rounds now of the Cup. We always seem to body swerve them. It's always saved for the big occasion at Hampden. But Connor, obviously with the boys are talking about their feelings towards the Cup, I'll tell you something right now. One guy who definitely won't have an indifferent attitude towards the Cup is our manager, Brendan Rodgers, because I know people might think that this sounds like a negative, but it's actually not. It's totally normal for a football manager to have a bit of an ego. Brendan Rodgers definitely does have an ego, but it's not a bad thing. The guy backs himself clearly. And when I was doing the quiz with the boys on Monday night on Sutton Deaf, my question revolved around Brendan's perfect record in the League Cup because he's entered 3 and he's won 3. He won't want to see that go. So it will be like, he'll be going into this, and the players as well, where it's like, no, we're here to win everything. When he stood there, Connor, and said, on his when he got announced for the second time as manager, and he did that little address to the fans outside, and he said, for all those that doubt me, I'll see you back here in May. Because he's genuinely thinking about another treble. he'll be 100%, backing himself to win that, won't he, Connor?
Aye, I mean, let's be honest. If there's one thing that Brendan Rodgers likes to do, and especially at Celtic, is win. I think he's got that winning mentality. He says, "I'll see you back here in May." I think Brendan Rodgers is very, very aware of the boost a League Cup can give a manager and the team. Even Ange said it, and I know some people are like, "Oh, I'm not too bothered with it." But see if what happens is what I think will happen is we'll get pumped in Europe. I think this season, and if we don't win the League Cup, then fucking Rangers will. You'll care about it then. You'll care about it then. People the bravado. Oh, I don't care about it. You'll care if it's got fucking red, white, and blue ribbons in the end of it. Then you'll start caring about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I know seen something in the chat saying, Hibs will win it. Hibs couldn't lift a fucking cup of tea, mate. I don't know.
Hibs, that's a bit of an unpredictable one. I wouldn't back them in anything,
No.
right? You just don't know what you'll get for them.
But no, I think Brendan Rodgers is he knows the importance of this, right? It's a marker. It's getting off, as the gun goes off, you're getting off at a good start. As a head start in terms of everybody else. And that's not like he's got a degree in psychology. The mental effects that it can have on a team and the negative effects that it can have on the opposing team. So that mob, do you know what I mean? And we know how fragile they are mentality-wise. Let's not beat out in the bush. Like, they're fragile mentality-wise. They do not like chasing. They do not like being on the back foot. So that's a way to kind of put your foot on their throat and just, start going towards that finish line. And at the end of the day, right, it's on the League Cup, but it's still another trophy in Celtic's cabinet. It's still something that's going to be written in the history of this football club, which is something that we all love, and it's something that we want to be as we progress to being, this in the most successful football club in the world. Which, if we win a treble this year, we will be. So, it's really important to make that momentum and take that further step in winning this. And Brendan Rodgers is, I think, going to be very, very aware of that. I know that we're playing Kilmarnock this weekend, and he didn't necessarily have the best record against Kilmarnock. I know it's like chalk and cheese compared.
I say with Steve Clark's Kilmarnock, they were definitely a much better team. Yeah,
I know, but I think it's really, really important. I know some people have their opinions on it, right? But I think it can go understated. See if Ange never won that League Cup, we would never have won the league. I think that was such a boost mentally for the players, taking their confidence to this next level, saying, you can win something, by the way. You just beat the team that beat your rivals who are at the top of the table. So you can do this. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So I don't think it can necessarily go understated how important this is. Do you know what I mean? So I think it should be well within our forward planning to win this and to take it as one of the many things we hope to achieve this season, and not put it on the back burner. It's it's at the back of the queue. It doesn't really matter. I think it should be up there.
Definitely.
Sorry, I don't mean to. I'm just doing a Regan here, and I want to ask on a question.
Go ahead, fire away, man. Honestly.
If we don't win the treble, would it be deemed a failure? Brendan Rodgers' second stint be seen as a failure right off the start?
Is it? Do we win? In this, I would imagine we win the league and we win the Scottish Cup then, or we just win the league. So are you saying do we do a double? Or
let's say we win two trophies. Let's say we win two trophies. We don't win this League Cup. We go on to win the league and we win the Scottish Cup. Is it seen as a failure?
In my opinion, this is the thing. This is the big elephant in the room. In my opinion, it's not a failure. But see, the Scottish media, that is a huge failure for a manager like Brendan Rodgers. Considering what he did before, he's had all that experience in England, winning FA Cups, getting to European semi-finals and all the rest of it. He's coming back and he's not winning a treble. To them, they'll smell blood in the water. The sharks will come out. I know, quite an apt fucking example of that. And they'll start going for that, and they'll start criticising him. And I know Brendan's fucking too long in the tooth. He'd even be annoyed by that shit. But you can just see it happening, that It's already happened. I can't
Tommy
remember who it
Daniels
was.
saying depends what
That was
happens
it.
in Europe. Tommy Daniels says it depends what happens in Europe. So let's say we win 2 trophies and we get to we win a knockout round 16 or whatever in Champions League, or we go on a decent Europa League run. Does that change the media's perspective of how the season goes? I know we're purely speculating, but
to me, that's a successful season. That's fine. A
I think so.
double and a half decent show in Europe.
I wanted. I'm a greedy bastard, as you can tell, right? But I want, right. This is what I want. I know it's asking a lot, but I think we have the tools there to do it. I want a treble, and I want us to progress further in Europe. I think with the fucking war chest we've got, the manager we've got, I don't think it's asking too much. I don't think that asking for Celtic to actually fucking finally win some games in the Champions League, even at home, is asking for too much to progress to either the next stage or to, if you drop down in the Europa League, get to the latter stage of the competition or even the fucking final. Do you know what I mean?
If it's not asking too much, if it's I could agree with you, but if it's not asking too much, Connor, then does that not water down all the treble success that we've had? Well, it can't be that fucking hard.
I'm not saying that. I know it's hard to win a treble.
I know, but when you're saying it's not too much to ask to win a treble and do well in Europe, but it's like, well, winning trebles should a piece of piss then. But then, like,
but mate, we maintain that we're Celtic. We maintain higher standards than.
It's still not easy. It's not easy to do that.
I know that. Yeah. I know it's not.
It's still a difficult. If it was that easy, then anybody could do it. We're unprecedented world record treble winners.
I know, but I hold us to a higher standard than everybody else. It's I don't know what it is. It's just. It's maybe just because of my age, and I'm not trying to be cheeky at that, but
I understand because we've
all I've known is success, mate. And I know that some people hate that and they think that we're selfish and we're entitled in that. But I couldn't. Obviously, I was only born 97, right? And I was very fleeting in my football interest as a wee boy. I watched it, but I never really paid much attention until I got bitten by the football bug when I was 10, 11, 12-year-old. I didn't really care much when Rangers won stuff over those weeks. It didn't really affect me as much. Seeing Rangers win that title and that, it fucking hurt like a lot. It was one of the worst things to happen to me ever, and they'll probably be laughing at this, but I don't really give a fuck because we just won a treble and use a shite. But
well said.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like I just want the good times to keep on rolling. I don't want to feel that way again because everybody knows it's right. Football affects your mood. This club Celtic affects your mood in that way more than anything in the world. You're up here one minute, you're down here the next. And for the past wee while, we've been riding on a high. Yeah. And when you're riding on a high, you don't want the feeling to ever stop. And I think that's just where my headspace is at the moment. I won't be gutted if we don't win a treble in that, but I will say that I think that it's something that we're definitely more than capable of. Do you know what I mean? It's 100%.
Well, the thing is, seeing Martin O'Neill's first season, he in the League Cup, there's a very famous game that we went to Tynecastle at the round of 16, and he fielded a second string team and we beat them 5-2. It was it was Stephen Craney and stuff that was really coming through at that point. He got a game. He played Tommy Johnson up front, who was most definitely the third or fourth choice striker at that point. He fielded a set, and we went to Tynecastle and won 5-2, and then went on to actually win the League Cup that season. So I don't see any reason why we can't, field a few of the second string. We should be able to, with the exception of Rangers and maybe some trips to some of the more difficult games, we should be able to steamroll a majority of teams, with even second string teams. So, yeah, we'll just see what happens on Sunday. So I expect there'll be a few changes, but ultimately we should be too strong for command. But I'm sure we'll save the score prediction stuff, David, for the Sunday Bolero before the game in the morning. We'll save it for that one. But before we go, as I said at the top of the show, I said this is Friday night after all, and you know what that means on the bus. It's usually time traveling night. And I said myself and Liam are on the show, so it has to be. So I'd said to the boys earlier, one of the things I want to talk about is just any random favourite or even infamous moments from the League Cup over the years, because unfortunately, my earliest memory as a Celtic fan, Connor, you won't remember this because it was happened before you were born, but Reef Rovers League Cup, because I was similar to you, Connor, in the sense that I didn't bother with football for a long, long time. I was about 9 years old before I got into football, and it was the '94 World Cup in the USA, watching that during the summer, and that's what got me into football. So naturally, my dad being a Celtic fan, I became a Celtic fan. And
it's funny you say that. It was a World Cup. It was a World Cup got me into football. South Africa won.
Aye. South Africa, 2010.
Mm-hmm.
Aye. But yeah, my first earliest memory, sadly, of Celtic that season was us losing a League Cup final to Raith Rovers. And I've Russell's got a very similar trajectory as me. He's mentioned this before. All the talk at the time, Paul McStay, the best player on the team, best player in the country and all that. And he's the one that misses the penalty. And it's like, oh God, what have I signed up for here? But funny enough, Corey, you mentioned 97 being your birth year. We did actually win the League Cup that year. And that's one of my earliest happy Celtic memories as we blew Dundee United away in the final 3-0. I believe it was Mark Reaper, Larson, and Burley all scored in that game. I can remember Larson's goal. In fact, it was edge of the area. One of these deflects off the defender and just loops up over the goalkeeper. But what we talked about earlier in the show, talked about a momentum thing. You said Ange needed that League Cup and it contributed. That was the stop in the 10 season, and that League Cup victory was so big for Celtic. We only won one League Cup in the entire 1990s, and that was it. In the same season that we managed to stop them winning the 10. But that was a hell of a day. And we won it at Ibrox as well, which is always going to be that wee bit sweeter, I guess, to win it on your rival's patch. But what we said, David, any memories coming to your mind just now in the League Cup over the years? It doesn't even be a final necessarily. It can be any fixture or any goal or anything against anyone.
I don't know. I even just Kyogo's double against Hibs was just hilarious and amazing all at once. Just that online footage from the Hibs fans celebrating, and they've gone mental.
Oh yes.
By the time the video ends, we are going nuts. And, probably.
By the time the Smokey the Flair had disappeared, we'd scored a goal. Les Watts coming in with one. My dad told me about this one. He turned up at that game with his mates drunk at half time, and it was 3-0 to Partick Thistle, and they quickly left. Partick Thistle beat us 4-1 in the 1970 final. And my dad says him and his mates turned up late to that game. It was 3-0 to Thistle, and they just left right away. Like, nope, off we go. Yeah, that was a weird anomaly in Celtic's history, that one, losing 4-1 to Partick Thistle in a final. But Liam, anything over the years for you? Any moments, memories of in the League Cup action with Celtic stand out?
Do you know, I can remember when it was the Dryborough Cup.
Dryborough Cup, actually. It was Coca-Cola Cup when I was growing up, then it became the Cooperative Insurance Cup.
So I remember, the Raith Rover one, that's funny, that's probably the only time the Scottish League Cup ever got a mention in North America. And it was right across the board. Every sports centre, ESPN, TSN, they all ran with that story. It's like in Scotland today, the Cinderella story of all time, Raith Rovers beating the mighty Celtic, and they really loved that, the underdog story and all that. And I always remember one of my favourites was when turns to the anchor beside her and they go, I bet they'll be dancing in the streets of Raith tonight.
Dancing in the streets of Raith, so that's where it comes from. Because Jeff Sterling used to parody that all the time on Soccer Side. Whenever Raith Rovers would score, he'd go, they'll be dancing in the streets of Raith tonight. I've always wondered where that came from.
I think it was ESPN Sports Centre. It was one of the anchors back and forward. But I don't know, I like a League Cup. It's the first time to, it's fall, you're getting into it. It's just before Christmas. For me, it was always the first really good day at the pub, like especially when I lived in Toronto, you'd come on, it'd be like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, it'd be on, or earlier, and you go in, you just play your football, play football in the morning, go and watch it in the afternoon, and it was always a great day. So I enjoyed it,
Aye, as I say, there's some good memories on the way. And Connor, do you know what happened the last time we played Kilmarnock at this stage in the League Cup? Do you remember what happened? It was only a few years ago.
Did we get beat?
No. That one did happen in 2012. No, we beat them 5-0 at Celtic Park, and Kieran Tierney scored a goal for about 35 yards out.
Oh, that game, I remember that.
Do you know, we fielded a bit of reserve team that night. Tony Ralston got a start, Calvin Miller started. But yeah, Kieran Tierney played at centre-back that night, and he just comes forward with the ball, 35 yards out, and he just puts his laces through it.
Was that when he had the captain's armband that night?
Yes, it was, yeah. But it was the second round of the League Cup, so the last time we played them at this stage, Yeah, beat them 5-0, but that
I
goal.
mind after that,
Jesus.
everybody was like, "Oh, Kieran Tierney's gonna be the next Celtic captain," and then obviously, no, that
Yeah.
my memories of the League Cup is from a few years ago. It was the 9-in-a-row season, and it was horrible and amazing all at the same time.
Yes.
It was Celtic 1, Rangers 0, and we were under the cosh the entire game. We were just getting absolutely hammered, and I was absolutely having heart palpitations. I couldn't take it. I genuinely had the 999 in my phone book just in case I needed to dial it, because I was like, get them on the line. I'm gonna have a fucking asthma attack. Jesus Christ. So yeah, it wasn't fun, but just watching that fucking chubby wee dick, Alfredo Morelos, miss that penalty against Foster, and him putting in, a repeat performance similar to the one against Barcelona against Rangers, and they just could not get past them at all. Was just incredible. And it did this thing. I think it was in the first 2 minutes of the game. Ryan Jack takes a shot and he palms it out, and then Foster, I don't know why he does it. He gets up and he just goes less. He just does that with his hands. It was absolutely crazy. I was like, why are you doing that? I was like, I've never seen anybody do that in my life. It was just one of these mental hangs. I was like, are you trying to look cool doing that? I was like, is that like an action hero pose you're trying to do? I was like, we're 5 minutes in, we're getting absolutely pumped. Come on, Fraser. Jesus. But, and then obviously, Christopher Julian, who was arguably offside, and, just goes and scores that goal. It was immense, and obviously Mikey Johnson, God rest his soul, he's no deed, but he might as well be.
How different his career could have been if he scored that, I reckon.
Misses that sitter that Edward put, and obviously you mind Edward was like, is he fit? Is he not going to be fit? He was on the bench.
Lewis Morgan started up front.
If he's fit enough to be on the bench, he should be fit enough to start. He comes on. First thing they do is they know he's carrying an injury. This just sums up his mentality. Connor Goldson comes in, clears him out. And then from that ensuing thing where they're like, oh, show him he's in a game, show him that he's playing against Rangers or whatever the fuck they probably got told by Gerrard, whatever fucking shite he was spewing. From that ensuing free kick, we score and then we win from that. And I just remember, I think it was who was on commentary? Was it Ian Crocker?
No, it was on BT, so it would have been Rory Hamilton and Chris Sutton, maybe Ali McCoy, maybe the Freeman commentary. It
was Rory Hamilton. It was like, not your time yet, Rangers, because you just knew that was in their mind. They're like, oh, we're finally going to do it. And then we just took it away from them just in the most spectacular fashion. And that was the worst we had looked in a long time, and they couldn't get a result against us. And it was just, the Ryan Jack tears were absolutely delicious that night.
Yeah. The thing is, I was in the stadium in that one, and I swear to God, there were points where I looked at the clock and I felt it was going back the way. It was like, we're winning 1-0, and you look at the clock, it's like 68 minutes. You're like, okay, you look again, and then it's like, it's going back to like 65 minutes. I'm like, I swear to God, the clock is going back the way. It was
the longest game in my life.
So long. It was brilliant. And then when Mikey Johnson's running through, like, I'm grabbing my mate. I'm not even looking at him. I'm grabbing him, like celebrating, like shaking him, because I'm like, we're going to score here. This is a goal, and then he slips at the last second and misses it, and you're like, "Oh my God, this is absolute torture." But that was some game. The weird thing about the League Cup, though, guys, growing up, is it was always that trophy that we were jinxed in. Like, we just never see win. It was always like, we're more associated with the Scottish Cup. We've won that more than any other team. But Rangers would always be the ones that would lift up the League Cup. But in the last few years, since the mid sort of 2010s, we've kind of made it our own. We've won it like so many times. But sadly, one of my worst memories again is when we lost to Kilmarnock in 2012. I couldn't believe that we lost that final. I was like, after what happened that season with Rangers, the going bust, the 10-point deduction, we're pretty much sitting in February, March of that season, like, we're going to win it all. We're going to win a treble, because again, at that point in time, trebles were very hard to come by. And then we lost that game, and I was like, I can't accept that we've lost this game to them. So that's just show you that got to take these games seriously, because anything can happen in a cup game. And I hope to God we don't see a repeat like that on Sunday, and we just keep momentum going. But in the last few years, I say you take your pick in terms of some of the glory we've had. I think the one you said, David, was great about the Kyogo double. I mean, the second goal is absolutely outrageous from the quick free kick. Just the way he interprets that. Doesn't have to think about it. Blinking, you'll miss it.
Either, eh? There's no fluke for him.
No,
he knows exactly what he's doing. That's what's amazing. That's what I think makes him the best since Larson, because it's so clever and it's so. It's just. I'm a loss for words to how to describe some of the stuff that he does these days. Even
at half fit, he's still amazing.
That's right.
The boy was half fit at the time. I know it was wild, absolutely wild.
He's remember
he could be, he is pretty lethal. Let's get it real. He is lethal, but if he could just get that real ruthless killer instinct, put away the chances that you know how Ayo scored 2, but he could have had 5. If he could just get that proper killer instinct for Europe, we've got one hell of a striker on our hands.
Do you remember the reaction to that Kyogo goal for some of the media and for a lot of the Hibs fans? Because they were going to make a change as that free kick was
getting yes, so they were,
the player was on the stairs and he was taking his tracksuit top off. And then Tom Rodgers takes a quick free kick and Kyogo chips it over the goalie. I remember, for my sins, I just did it because I like listening to them get beat. I know it's a bit strange, but the Hibs podcast, I listened to it after and they were like, Kyogo, are we fucking cheating that? Are we cheating? Well, to be fair, and I'm a more Minging accent than that, but he was always...
Sorry to any of our viewers who are from Edinburgh. Sorry to any of our viewers.
They've heard it all before. But they're saying, we had a player coming on that should have been disallowed. We had a player getting ready to come. You're like, he didn't even have his tracky bottoms off yet. No. But he's moaning about it. But it's just sour grapes whenever anybody seems to lose to Celtic and they think they should have the decision their way. As Derek McInnes has said this week. You know what I mean? Did he mention the 2 goals that we should have had earlier in that game as well? The one that 5 Kilmarnock players had played Dyes and Wide onside, but that'll not get a mention in the media about it.
No, of course it won't. Well, we've just hit over an hour, guys, so we can wrap it up there. And so tomorrow, Saturday, no getting any games on Saturday. So Sunday it is for the match against Kilmarnock. So your Sunday Blair will be on, as per usual, with Mr. Sunday Morning here next to me, David Logue. He will be hosting that one. And then, PMP, Russell is occupied on Sunday afternoon. So it'll either be myself, David, or Steve-O will be hosting, but Terry will be back this time. So that's only 1 week so far this season that Russell and Terry will do PMP together. So it's going to be rotated around again because Russell's unavailable this weekend. So it'll be one of the other 3 who usually host, either myself, David, or Steve-O. But Terry is definitely back for that one. So we'll be obviously hoping to be talking about another good Celtic victory. And funny enough, I think when we're on, the draw will probably be taking place. So providing Celtic are in that, which we fully expect will be there, then we might get a live reaction to the draw as well during PMP. We'll see what that conjures up for us. But guys, that is the Friday feeling. It is in the books. So enjoyed yourself tonight, lads. A wee spirited chat about the tick.
Always on a Friday
night
with you, mate.
Love it.
Good stuff. Right, guys, we're going to head off now. 120 still watching live. So hit that like button on the way out, guys, folks. And we will catch you on Sunday for the Sunday Blair. So we'll see you then, guys. Cheers, folks.
See you later. Bye.
See you guys. Bye.